What's up, everybody? My name is Kevin. I go by me, Kevin, because nobody can pronounce my last name. And I definitely don't recommend drinking your problems away after you lose the biggest deal of your career. Instead, I just recommend you surround yourself with some nostalgia that makes you think of the happy days of your childhood where you could spend endless hours playing RuneScape and pretty much not having to worry about anything. And that's not even considering the fact that Tesla is now having a JCPenney sale. Which, hey, if you want to get in on some Tesla stock, you can do that now. But anyway, I want to tell you a little bit about this $3.55 million deal that I just lost. The house that I wanted to buy is probably one of the most recognizable houses in the world. In the introduction to Full House, a show that I grew up with, may have had a crush on DJ Tanner, may have really loved the show, may have really liked Becky until, well, she cheated her children's way into college, but we won't go there. This particular house that shows up in the introduction scenes to the Full House series happens to be in the middle of Postcard Row. It is one of the Seven Sisters, and it is arguably one of the nicest or one of the best locations within the seven houses of the Seven Sisters. It's smack dab in the middle, has the best view of the park in front of it, and has the best view of Capitol Hill out of the back. None of the other Seven Sisters have this. So this opportunity was by far, hands down, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But not only was it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it was also a very profitable opportunity. Here's the scoop. The first thing I thought was, why am I going to bother even considering this property? It's way outside of my 30-minute rule, which, in case you don't know, I have a 30-minute rule that says you should never invest in real estate outside of a 30-minute radius. Well, then I somehow convinced myself that there was so much profit to be had in this deal that it would be okay to break that 30-minute rule. So I went on to rule number 2, which is always find local professionals to help rationalize your decision. And that's exactly what I did. In fact, not only did I meet the listing agent themselves at this property.
Appointment only because I didn't want a lockbox on this property.
Yeah, so you're doing a couple broker tours and then the agent showings, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very amazing person, by the way. Thank you so much, Jeremy. If you're watching this, dude, honor to meet you, man. You're great. But I also surrounded myself with other local, knowledgeable professionals to make sure that I wasn't getting myself into, well, a shit show. Now, the reason I say it's so important to surround yourself with local professionals is, well, here you go. In San Francisco, if you write an offer on the California Association of Realtor forms, pretty much no agent is going to consider your offer because San Francisco has its own purchase agreements. On top of that, a lot of y'all were writing comments saying, hey Kevin, this would make a really sick Airbnb. Unfortunately, San Francisco also has a rule that says, no, you're not allowed to Airbnb properties out for more than 90 days a year unless you live in the property. And let's be clear here, I wasn't planning on living in the property. So I put $50,000 on the line for this deal. I removed my loan contingency because I knew I would get the loan. I removed my inspection contingency because I already did my inspection. I walked the property, I reviewed every single inspection report, I read every single documented page on this, I walked every inch of this property, I knew this property, I was comfortable with this property, I had no doubts about this property whatsoever. Now, I did have a plan to rent the property out for the short term. My goal was to rent the property out for a 6-month lease, and since it's technically a duplex, I was going to do some modest cleaning up and updates just to get some tenants in, rent the property out for 6 months, and this 6-month time frame would give me the opportunity to put together my architectural plans and basically my plans to flip the property. Because here's the thing, if you're going to do a $40,000 flip, you could come up with those plans in 7 days. You could take my rental renovations course and you could basically have the plans handed to you on a silver platter. You could literally download my cheat sheets and just give them to contractors and go, do what Kevin says, and you're done. Well, unfortunately, For a $400,000 to $500,000 renovation, there's a little bit more planning that goes into it, especially in the city of San Francisco for a property that's not only designated as a historic property, but designated as probably one of the most important historic properties in the entire city, which opens up a whole other can of worms. But because this property is a duplex, guess what happens in the city of San Francisco? You're now subject to San Francisco's rent control policies, which, in case you're thinking, hey, Kevin, you've made a video about rent control before. Rent control lets you raise the rent by 5% above the consumer price index, right? What's the big deal here? Yeah, San Francisco only lets you raise the rent by the consumer price index. So in other words, in an area like San Francisco where the tech boom is oftentimes bumping rents 5 to 8% per year, you're stuck raising the rent 1.8% in San Francisco. So San Francisco, not super friendly towards Airbnbs at all, and not super friendly towards landlords, and not super friendly towards people who want to renovate historical properties, especially since you might even have to petition all of your neighbors and get them to allow you to renovate or convert the property. Don't worry, I budgeted for all of this. I just want you to know that if you're ever thinking about doing a big project, make sure you surround yourself with the proper professionals so you know what you're getting into and you can budget appropriately. It's one of the first lessons in my real estate investing course. But anyway, after renting this property out for 6 months, my goal was to start renovations on the property, assuming I would be able to get the tenants out, or I'd have to wait until I would be able to get the tenants out. The big thing though was I really wanted to flip this property and document the renovation process with you so you could see me renovate this property in San Francisco, see me go through the struggles of dealing with probably the most difficult renovation of my life, and be able to show you how I'm able to conquer that process and still make money. Now, for a bit more detail on what my plans were for this property, my plans were to take the duplex configuration that it's in now and downzone the property back to a single family property, renovate the entire property, and then flip it as a beautiful single family house. Now, single family is surprisingly more desirable in San Francisco than a duplex because you're not subject to the extreme rent control measures. Single family houses also surprisingly sell for a lot more money in San Francisco than multi-units do. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get the deal. Here's unfortunately how the negotiation ended up playing out. Which, by the way, when I tell you about this negotiation, I want you to think to yourself, wow, how the heck was Kevin able to get that close? Well, folks, that's exactly the secret that I teach you in my real estate courses. And honestly, I don't know if any of y'all are going to enjoy this video anyway. I just feel like I'm kind of venting about having lost the biggest deal of my life, but you know what? I'm gonna put it out there probably anyway. Well, I guess if you're watching this, I did. But anyway, so here's how close I got. Folks, oh, this is so frustrating. I always say rule number 1 is don't get emotional, and I don't get emotional about my deals. I'm a little bit emotional right now because of how close I was. So if there's any emotion, it's not emotion for the deal, it's emotion for how close I was. Oh, this is really frustrating. And I think that's just the nature of being an entrepreneur, is sometimes you just you're so close to victory and you miss. But in my opinion, it's this, I can funnel this energy and put it towards bigger things coming in the future. I do have that sort of optimism from watching the movie The Secret like a million times when I was 18 years old. I think that's helped me a lot in life, but I don't really believe in The Secret or karma, but I just kind of practice those principles and it's done well for me. So I can't explain that. All right, but here's how the negotiation went. Basically, I offered $3 million on this deal. I submitted my San Francisco purchase agreement for $3 million. I submitted my pre-approval letter for $3 million. I submitted my proof of funds showing I had the down payment ready to go. And then through negotiations, I found out there were 7 offers on this deal. But not only were there 7 offers on this deal, there was somebody that was a cash buyer that offered more than everybody else did. And through my negotiation tactics, I realized that I needed to revise my offer to $3,555,000, which I think that made my down payment like $666,000, which I thought was kind of like freaky and cool at the same time. I don't know. Oh dear. So I submitted my counteroffer, or basically revised first page for this contract. And well, after the seller reviewed the 7 offers, I still came in second place. I was the second best offer, and I lost to somebody who offered $5,000 less than me. That is, had I gotten this deal, I would have only overpaid for the deal by $5,000, and it would have been $1 million profit deal. But I can't be super emotional about it because the person who did get first place was a cash buyer with a 7-day close. So instead, I had offered $3.555 million with 25% down, yet even though I submitted an offer for $5,000 more than the highest bidder, I'd lost because the other person was a cash buyer with a 7-day close. Well, folks, I appreciate you watching the video to this point. I'm optimistic that I'm gonna have some really great future opportunities coming my way, but I have to say at this point, I'm quite disappointed. So I thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it wasn't too rambly. And hey, you know what? Cheers, and until next time.